We know Bitcoin isn't perfect. We know there's trade-offs. Many of the conversations discussing trade-offs are usually contentious. There's usually a lot of passion. There's a lot of emotion behind it. Sometimes, though, people make a very compelling argument, and it makes you stop, and it makes you say, huh, I never thought of this before. Ladies and gentlemen, today is not that day. And let's take a look at this possible end game scenario. What happens if the Bitcoin halving in April screws up? And I got to say, many of us have just never really thought this part of it out. This finance-a-lot, he really stumped us, really stumped us on this. Or did he? Obviously, I'm joking. Anybody who's actually in Bitcoin that pays attention knows that this is just one of the most stupid engagement tweets you've ever seen. Nonetheless, it gives us an opportunity to talk about the halvening. It gives us an opportunity to talk about why it pretty much can't screw up. And I say pretty much because, right, we can never say that there's nothing truly 100% guaranteed. We can only offer varying degrees of certainty. And of course, there is a very high degree of certainty that the halving will not screw up. Why, right? Why? So before we even talk about why, let's just quickly, for the people that don't know, every 10 minutes, a block is mined, and every 10 minutes, the miner who mines that block, okay, gets a reward. The first Bitcoin reward that was given at the beginning was 50, okay? And every 210,000 blocks, that reward that is given, okay, of new Bitcoin being produced gets cut in half. So right now, okay, we are at 6.25 Bitcoin reward every 10 minutes, meaning that every 10 minutes, 6.25 new uncirculated Bitcoin enter the market. Now that we understand this, okay, the next piece is where is this documented, and essentially how is it enforced? So we have this nice little screenshot here from Pax Hodl. And he goes, please read this code and tell me how the halving fails. Let's take a look at it together, okay? And this is the code, right, that essentially every single Bitcoin node runs. And here it is, okay? CA mount and subsidy equals 50 coins. So they're saying, right, Satoshi right here, saying, hey, look, okay, the subsidy is going to begin at 50 coins. Now, look, subsidy is cut in half every 210,000 blocks. Okay, so that right there dictates the rules of what we're going to have. Who enforces these rules? Well, the nodes, right? Essentially the nodes that are validating their own transactions, okay, they are essentially validating these rules. So every single one of us that runs Bitcoin Core, okay, we all have the same set of rules that we are all agreeing to, okay? So how could the halving possibly screw up? Well, a majority of nodes would need to have a different view of the network, and then all of a sudden, if it's decided that that chain becomes the primary chain, well, then at that point, you quote unquote could have, right, the halving screw up, so to speak. But that wouldn't be a screw up. That would just become a fork. And it would become a fork of actual Bitcoin. So it would just become another shit fork. So you can't really actually have the halving screw up. I mean, you really can't. Again, I hate giving guarantees, but it's the non-zero chance. It's not screwing up. It's not screwing up. But anyways, let's go take a look at some of the replies, because Bitcoiners are absolutely awesome. All right, so first off, we're going to go with Corey. What happens if there's no tomorrow? Indeed. Indeed. Wicked, obviously offering, I think, one of the more studious replies. Don't trust verify, and then he points to Bitcoin's GitHub. Okay, so the person can go and inspect the code themselves. Walker, absolutely agreed. Is this a parody account? I thought so as well. Okay. Fellow Bitcoiner Tyler Campbell writes back and goes, I've been thinking the same thing about the sun not rising tomorrow. If you only understood what it would take for this halving event not to take place, you'd realize how ridiculous this question is. But the problem is that when you're a finance bro, okay, I'm making the assumption that he doesn't actually understand, because so far the dumbest takes I've seen about Bitcoin have come out of the TradFi finance bros. So I'm assuming that he actually doesn't really know. I hope for him he does, and he's just trolling for engagement, which if he is, well done, good job. But yeah, let's continue here with some of the comments. What would the world be like if everyone had 3 arms? Phil Geiger, making a good point. Never really thought of that, but I know that Total Recall has the original Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger has the lady with 3 boobs, and that seemed to be a very focal point of the movie that for some reason was remembered 4 years after. Anyways, just saying, 3, magic number. Nothing to do with the halving, though. And then finally here, this is it. Excellent engagement farming, and Finance a Lot responds back with this. Yeah, somebody else responds back, trolling. I respect it. Okay. So hopefully Finance a Lot knows how difficult it is, how nearly impossible it is for the halving not to take place. Okay, it's automagic. It's written in the code. Okay, and all the nodes enforce this code. So, it's a good engagement. It's a good engagement troll / tweet, but I also liked it because it gave us the opportunity to kind of talk about the halving, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it the halving, but for some reason, some people get really pissed and they're like, "Oh, you sound like a retard when you say that." Sure, words are words. I mean, it's if you really start thinking about the nature of words, it gets very confusing. Okay, if you start saying the same word over and over again, you start to realize that it loses all meaning to you, which kind of, I don't know if that just says more about the human brain. Okay, anyways, that's it, guys. Okay, nothing to worry about. The halving is not broken. It is not going to break. Rest assured, the newly mined Bitcoin rewards will be cutting in half. They are going to 3.125, and there's going to be a supply shock. And everybody knows or can assume what the story starts to look like a little bit after that. Anyways, guys, that's our clip for today. Catch you all tomorrow.